The twin suns of Draction 4 blazed over the alien arena, their harsh light reflecting off the polished obsidian floor. Captain Aric Voss adjusted the strap of his combat gauntlet, feeling the familiar hum of its energy interface pulse against his wrist. Around him, the air thrummed with tension as the alien spectators, tall, sinewy beings with iridescent skin, leaned forward in anticipation. Aric's team of human mercenaries stood behind him, their eyes narrowed, muscles coiled like spring-loaded traps. Across the arena, Lord Khelan emerged, his presence commanding immediate silence. He was a towering figure, clad in ceremonial armor etched with glowing runes, his three-fingered hands resting casually on the hilt of his blade. Even from a distance, Aric could sense the subtle psychic resonance that flowed through Khelan's weapon, a power no human had ever wielded before. The alien warlord's clan followed, their bodies moving in perfect unison, a living testament to years of disciplined training enhanced by psychic amplification. "Stay focused," Aric murmured to his team, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. He knew that the stakes were higher than any skirmish they had faced on the outskirts of human colonies. This duel was not merely about victory, it was a statement, a proof that humanity could hold its own in a galaxy that had long dismissed them as unpredictable and weak. Khelan's gaze settled on Aric, piercing through the human's carefully measured expression. "You presume too much, human." The warlord's voice rippled through the arena, carried not just by sound but by a subtle psychic push. "No human has ever faced me and lived to tell the tale." Aric smiled faintly, feeling the familiar spark of defiance. Maybe that's about to change. He stepped forward, the polished floor echoing beneath his boots. Every movement was calculated, every breath controlled. Humans lacked psychic amplification, true, but where they were weak in raw power, they excelled in ingenuity, unpredictability, and reflexive improvisation. The duel commenced with a ritual bow, a formality Aric followed to mask the storm of calculation behind his eyes. Khelan's first strike was swift, a blur of glowing steel aimed at Aric's shoulder. Instinctively, Aric deflected, the human-designed gauntlet absorbing the initial impact while sending a subtle feedback pulse that disoriented the warlord's grip. Khelan blinked in surprise. A human counter so early was unexpected. Aric's team flanked the arena, not to intervene, but to ensure Khelan's clan remained in check. Every move Aric made was designed to test the alien's reaction time, to probe for weaknesses in technique and psychic reliance. He darted, pivoted, and feinted, forcing Khelan into patterns that should have been impossible for a human to predict. The warlord's eyes flickered with irritation, his psychic blade glowing brighter as he attempted to anticipate each movement. "Humans," Khelan muttered, a growl undercutting his words. "You are unpredictable." Aric's smirk widened slightly. That was exactly the point. Humans thrived in chaos, in situations where rules bent and the unexpected reigned. Khelan had trained his clan to perfection, but no amount of psychic augmentation could prepare them for ingenuity that did not follow a predictable pattern. Suddenly, Khelan lunged, and the arena seemed to warp under the speed of his strike. Aric barely had time to adjust, deflecting the blow with a clang of metal that echoed through the arena. The force reverberated through his gauntlet, but he held his stance, his mind racing through contingency after contingency. Khelan's psychic energy pushed outward, but Aric's unpredictability created openings the alien could not exploit. A tense silence fell over the arena. Even the clan, perfectly trained and disciplined, hesitated for a fraction of a second too long. That fraction was enough. Aric's eyes locked onto a small gap in Khelan's defense, a vulnerability the alien would have sworn was impossible to find. He lunged, blade angled for a precise strike, but did not yet commit. The warlord's weapon quivered under the psychic resonance, runes glowing faintly as if responding to some hidden stimulus. The crowd gasped collectively, sensing the tension crackling between the two combatants. Aric paused, feeling the weight of history, pride, and raw human ingenuity pressing against him. One misstep could cost his life, or worse, the credibility of all human mercenaries across the sector. Yet in that pause lay an unspoken truth. Humans thrived where predictability failed. Khelan froze mid-swing, a flicker of hesitation in his otherwise perfect form. Aric's smirk hardened into resolve. The moment had arrived. The duel was no longer merely a test of strength, it was a test of ingenuity, resilience, and the human will. Aric shifted, the gauntlet humming softly, and prepared for the strike that would change everything. Beyond the tension, beyond the fear, beyond the awe of alien spectators, he knew one thing with certainty: humans, though underestimated, could never be entirely predicted. And in that unpredictability lay their true power. As the two combatants squared off once more, the arena seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the spark that would ignite a chain of events no one, alien or human, could foresee. Aric's blade arced in a fluid, controlled sweep, the tip glinting under Draction Ivy's twin suns. He didn't aim to kill, at least not yet, but to test the limits of Khelan's reflexes and the hidden power within his psychic blade. Time slowed in the arena as metal met metal with a resonant clang that sent vibrations rippling through the floor. Sparks flared where Aric's strike met Khelan's defense, and for the first time, the Warlord's eyes betrayed uncertainty. The subtle cut across Khelan's palm was enough. His weapon pulsed, runes along its hilt and edge igniting in sudden, fierce luminescence. The glow spread like liquid fire, illuminating the carved glyphs that no human eyes should fully comprehend. Aric stepped back instinctively, muscles coiled, aware that whatever had been triggered was beyond alien expectation and possibly dangerous. Khelan froze, the unexpected reaction halting him mid-motion. His clan, standing rigid and disciplined, mirrored their leader's shock. Some warriors dropped to one knee, a ceremonial gesture of awe, or perhaps fear. The psychic energy of their leader's weapon had surged unpredictably, responding not to training, not to strength, but to the human touch. Aric's eyes narrowed. The moment confirmed what he had suspected. Humans' unpredictability could manipulate forces that even the most enhanced aliens could not control. He had trained for this, studied alien weapons across the galaxy, and anticipated that a strike, precise, strategic, and unorthodox, could provoke a reaction. Yet, even he hadn't known it would happen so dramatically. Impossible, Khelan hissed, his voice strained against the surge of energy pulsing through his palm. No human should. His words faltered as a wave of radiant power flared along the weapon, almost lifting him off his feet. Aric didn't move. He had mastered the human instinct to adapt, to improvise in chaos. Every human in the arena instinctively understood the lesson Khelan's reaction was teaching. Power was not only in strength or psychic amplification, but in creativity, unpredictability, and courage. The alien spectators murmured, their voices a low hum of confusion and apprehension. Even those who had previously dismissed humans as fragile, chaotic beings now regarded them with cautious respect. The duel had transcended its ceremonial purpose. It was becoming a demonstration of human potential, a potential alien civilizations could not anticipate. Khelan's grip tightened around his blade, the runes pulsing in erratic patterns. Sweat gleamed along his chiseled face, yet his pride remained unbroken. He would not yield, not completely. Instead, he shifted, adopting a defensive stance, his clan moving as one to shield him. The psychic energy still radiated, casting long, flickering shadows across the arena. Aric's team observed silently, trained in anticipation of moments like this. Their captain's actions were deliberate yet subtle. Every movement Aric made was measured to maintain control, to exploit Khelan's momentary vulnerability while avoiding unnecessary risk. The humans were not stronger in raw power, but they were masters of exploiting opportunity, thinking several steps ahead in ways aliens could scarcely imagine. "Your clan kneels," Khelan said, voice tight with barely contained frustration. "You humans," his words trailed off as another surge of energy coursed along his weapon. Aric's lips curved into a faint smile. "You taught them well," he said, his voice steady. "But sometimes, tradition bends beneath ingenuity." He adjusted his stance, keeping the momentum controlled, but ready to strike again. Khelan's hesitation had given him leverage. The alien warlord's weapon, once an extension of invincibility, had become unpredictable under human influence. The crowd's atmosphere shifted. Alien voices rose in anxious whispers, their rituals of hierarchy and control suddenly disrupted by the simple unpredictability of a human maneuver. Aric felt the weight of observation, the scrutiny of thousands of eyes, the pressure of a species being measured against their own arrogance. And yet, he remained calm, drawing strength from humanity's intrinsic trait, the ability to improvise, to adapt, and to turn perceived weakness into advantage. Khelan attempted to regain composure, sweeping his blade in a wide arc, but Aric anticipated the pattern. He sidestepped, using momentum to slide close enough for a controlled strike without overextending. The runes on the weapon flared again, responding to Aric's precise touch. The reaction sent Khelan staggering slightly, and the clan collectively sank to their knees in recognition. Fear, respect, and awe intertwined. For the first time, Aric saw the truth laid bare. Strength alone, no matter how augmented, could not withstand the full measure of human ingenuity. Every alien tactic, every psychic-enhanced maneuver, could be countered with unpredictability, courage, and adaptive thinking. The duel had become more than a test. It was a declaration. Humans were not to be underestimated. Khelan straightened, his pride wounded but intact. His eyes met Aric's with a grudging respect that was rare among his kind. "You have taught me something," he admitted, voice low, almost reverent. "Perhaps humans are not as weak as I believed." Aric nodded subtly, letting the weight of the human presence resonate. The lesson was clear to all. This was no ordinary duel. Humans' unpredictability, resilience, and adaptability could provoke forces beyond comprehension, bending even the most disciplined alien systems. The arena, once a stage for ceremonial dominance, had become a proving ground for human superiority. The moment stretched. Aric and Khelan faced each other, two warriors locked in silent understanding. One strike had shifted the balance of respect. The alien warlord's power was immense, his clan disciplined and enhanced, yet human ingenuity had turned the tide in subtle, undeniable ways. Aric exhaled softly, preparing for the next movement. He did not yet strike to finish. The duel's crescendo was still building. He had demonstrated the first, crucial fact: humans could challenge, could disrupt, and could dominate when predictability faltered. And in the anticipation of what would come next, the arena seemed to hold its breath. The stage was set. The duel had escalated beyond skill alone. It was now a test of wits, strategy, and the indomitable human spirit. Every spectator sensed it. Every warrior felt it. And Aric, standing steady amid the glare of alien eyes and the surge of ancient power, knew that humanity's true strength was only beginning to reveal itself. The runes on Khelan's blade burned brighter now, casting flickering patterns across the arena floor. Aric held his stance, eyes sharp, every nerve alert. The unexpected flare had unsettled not only Khelan but his entire clan, and for a moment, even the air felt charged with a fragile equilibrium. Humans had never been in a situation like this, where a single precise maneuver could ripple through an alien civilization's traditions and pride. Yet here they were, standing unshaken, the apex of unpredictability. Khelan's hand trembled slightly as he gripped the hilt. He had trained for centuries, yet no psychic projection, no ritual of preparation, could account for what had just occurred. The runes responded not to his mastery, but to Aric's presence, to the human unpredictability that flowed through his every movement. The alien warlord's pride struggled against a newfound respect, an unaccustomed acknowledgement that humans could disrupt perfection. Aric advanced cautiously, keeping his blade low, the gauntlet humming softly in resonance with his own heartbeat. He could feel the subtle energy emanating from Khelan's weapon, a pulsing rhythm almost alive, yet entirely responsive to the human strike. The realization was intoxicating, a single, Well-placed move had triggered a reaction the alien could not fully control. Humans might lack psychic power, but ingenuity had its own kind of resonance, one the galaxy's most disciplined warriors could neither predict nor resist. The alien clan remained kneeling, a ceremonial submission tinged with awe, and Khelan's voice carried across the arena, strained but commanding. "Enough! Stand, my clan! Stand!" The words held authority, yet even as they rose, the warriors' knees wavered. Their loyalty was unbroken, yet their respect for the humans, this single human, was undeniable. Aric did not press the advantage immediately. That was not his way. The duel was as much about demonstration as victory, about establishing human ingenuity as a force aliens could neither dismiss nor anticipate. He circled cautiously, blade ready, eyes locked on Khelan. He had seen the hesitation, the flicker of uncertainty, and he knew the moment to strike definitively would arrive, not through brute force, but through precision and timing. Khelan shook his head, trying to dispel the shock. You understand the flow of the runes," he said, his tone a mix of disbelief and admiration. "No human should, how?" He faltered, searching for words adequate to express the impossibility of what had happened. Aric's voice was calm, deliberate. "Humans adapt. We improvise. We find paths that no one predicts, not even the most disciplined or powerful." His gaze swept the kneeling clan, measuring their reactions. "You rely on training and psychic resonance, but there is one force you cannot quantify: unpredictability." Khelan's blade flared again, responding to the subtle pressure of Aric's presence. He moved, but hesitated, unsure whether to strike or to defend. The alien's instincts screamed at him: dominate, control, and the threat. Yet the humans had already demonstrated that their methods defied instinct, that each calculated movement could force the impossible. The warlord's confidence was no longer absolute. "Observe carefully, my clan," Khelan said, voice louder, filled with restrained authority. "Even the strongest can falter. Even the most precise can be undone." The words were meant to restore order, yet they carried a reluctant acknowledgement of human capability. Aric took a measured step forward, letting the weight of human resolve press against the alien's pride. He did not strike blindly. Every movement was a message. Strength alone did not define humans' strategy, improvisation, and audacity did. The runes pulsed more violently, as though resonating with Aric's intent, and the air in the arena seemed to vibrate with the tension of recognition. One by one, the alien warriors lifted their heads, eyes wide, scanning Aric's motions for explanation or flaw. They found none. The unpredictability, the adaptability, the calm defiance in a single human form, these were forces they had never encountered in millennia of training and psychic augmentation. Khelan's breathing was steady, but strained. He adjusted his stance, the blade heavy in his grip, yet the glow of the runes betrayed his uncertainty. "You have disrupted the balance," he admitted, his tone edged with awe. "Not through strength, not through skill alone, but through something human." Aric nodded once, subtly. "Precisely. And that is why humans survive where the predictable fail. We turn chaos into advantage, hesitation into opportunity." His eyes locked on Khelan's, steady and unflinching. "And we are only beginning." The arena fell silent. The alien crowd, once deafening with expectation, now watched with a different awe, one tinged with respect, fear, and uncertainty. Humans had not merely survived a duel, they had rewritten its rules. The flare of the runes had not just injured a hand, it had unveiled a principle no alien technology or training could fully anticipate. Unpredictability was power, courage was force, and ingenuity was superior to mere enhancement. Aric's team mirrored his calm, each soldier understanding the subtle yet absolute lesson. The moment of unpredictability had shifted the dynamic entirely. Humanity had proven that control alone, no matter how precise, could be challenged. The alien warlord's weapon had betrayed its master, not through failure, but through the application of human ingenuity. For the first time, Khelan's eyes betrayed a hint of uncertainty beyond the battlefield. He had faced countless warriors, but never one who could bend his own mastery against him so effortlessly. The realization sent a ripple through his psyche. Humans were more than their apparent limitations. They were a force defined by their ability to adapt, improvise, and strike when least expected. Aric exhaled slowly, maintaining the calm posture that had unnerved Khelan from the first moment. The duel was far from over, yet the foundation had been laid. Humans had demonstrated superiority not in raw power, but in strategy, adaptability, and the courage to act decisively. The alien clan knelt not merely out of fear, but in acknowledgement of a force they could not fully comprehend. The stage was set for the final movements. One strike, one decision, could change everything, but the lesson was already clear. Unpredictability, resilience, and human ingenuity were forces the galaxy had yet to reckon with. And in that quiet, taut moment before the next clash, Aric felt a surge of certainty. Humanity's potential was limitless, and this duel was only the beginning. The arena air was thick with anticipation, the twin suns casting long shadows across the polished obsidian floor. Aric Voss stood calm, every muscle coiled like a spring, his blade humming softly in resonance with the gauntlet's energy field. Khelan's runes flared intermittently, a pulse of alien power responding to the unpredictable human presence. The kneeling clan looked up, eyes wide with a mixture of reverence, fear, and disbelief. The duel was no longer merely ceremonial. It had become a demonstration of what humans could achieve when ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability converged. Khelan rose to his full height, his grip on the blade steady despite the flare of energy that had unnerved him before. He met Aric's gaze directly, the weight of centuries of tradition pressing down on his shoulders. "You have forced my hand," he admitted, his voice steady but tinged with reluctant respect. "Humans, you are unlike anything I have encountered." Aric advanced slowly, keeping his stance measured, his eyes locked on the alien warlord. "We do not seek needless conflict," he said, his tone even. "But we will not be underestimated. Our strength lies not in what you can predict, but in what you cannot." His words were deliberate, meant to resonate not only with Khelan but with the kneeling clan, who had begun to understand the full measure of human capability. Khelan's psychic energy pulsed violently, the runes flaring in a dance of light and shadow, but the hesitation lingered. Humans had proven their unpredictability, and that lesson was etched into every mind in the arena. For the first time, Khelan questioned the absolute supremacy of his own training. No amount of psychic enhancement, no centuries of discipline, could fully account for the ingenuity and adaptability of a single human. Aric's team observed from the sidelines, ready to intervene if necessary, but also knowing that the outcome would not be dictated by brute force alone. Every human soldier understood the principle their captain had demonstrated. In chaos, humans could thrive. In unpredictability, humans could dominate. Khelan's faltering control over the runes symbolized what humans had always relied upon, the ability to exploit opportunity where others saw perfection. The moment of decisive action arrived subtly. Aric feinted a low strike, drawing Khelan's attention downward, then pivoted, his blade tracing a precise arc aimed at a weak point revealed during the earlier exchange. Khelan reacted instinctively, raising his weapon, but the runes flared once more in response to the human ingenuity behind the move. The surge of energy staggered him slightly, and the kneeling clan collectively shuddered at the display. Aric's strike was controlled, precise, enough to mark but not destroy. The cut across Khelan's palm deepened slightly, sending sparks from the runes, but it did not incapacitate him. Instead, it delivered a message. Humans could influence even the most formidable power through skill, timing, and creativity. The alien warriors, now fully aware of the implications, remained on their knees, acknowledging that the human had achieved what none of their kind could. Khelan straightened, his breathing steadying, though his pride was tempered by recognition. "You have proven the truth of your words," he said. "Humans are unpredictable, ingenious, and worthy of respect." There was no bitterness, only a grudging admiration that Aric had earned through strategy rather than brute strength. Aric nodded once, lowering his blade slightly. Respect is earned, not granted. We do not seek to conquer, only to be acknowledged as equals when circumstances demand it. His tone was firm, but measured, reflecting the calculated diplomacy that had guided humans across countless uncharted systems. The kneeling clan began to rise, slowly, carefully, their movements a mixture of deference and acknowledgement. The alien spectators, too, shifted, murmuring among themselves as they processed the demonstration. The duel had transcended its initial purpose. It was now a testament to human adaptability, courage, and ingenuity. Humans had shown that even against an opponent augmented with psychic power and centuries of disciplined training, unpredictability could tip the scales. Aric glanced at his team, each man understanding without words the lesson that had been delivered. Strategy, creativity, and the courage to act decisively had achieved what raw power alone could not. The humans had not just survived, they had imposed a new standard, a subtle but undeniable dominance born not of arrogance, but of ingenuity. Khelan's eyes met Aric's one last time. There was acknowledgement there, a silent pact forming between two warriors of different species. Humans had proven that their value lay not in what could be measured, but in what could not, the unpredictable, adaptable spark that no alien enhancement could replicate. The duel concluded without further bloodshed, yet the implications rippled far beyond the arena. Aric had not just won a contest of skill, he had redefined expectations, shifted perceptions, and demonstrated that humanity's ingenuity was a force the galaxy could no longer ignore. The kneeling clan and the alien council that had observed the duel would remember this day, not for the strike itself, but for the lesson behind it. Humans were unpredictable, resilient, and brilliant in ways no technology or psychic mastery could anticipate. As Aric stepped back, allowing Khelan and his clan to rise fully, he felt a quiet satisfaction. Victory was not in destruction, but in demonstration. Humans had shown the galaxy their worth, not by overwhelming power, but by turning unpredictability into advantage. The duel had ended, yet the story of humanity's rise in this sector was only beginning. Aric glanced at the horizon, feeling the pull of countless future challenges. Every battle, every encounter, would demand ingenuity, courage, and the willingness to defy expectation. And humanity, unpredictable and unyielding, was ready.